Most people think that a deck of cards is just a game. Alexander and Viki think it's something much bigger. They believe it contains an ancient system that can reveal who you are, why you're here, and the unique path that you're meant to follow. This conversation goes deep into purpose, consciousness, spirituality, and some of the biggest questions humans ever asked. Welcome to How to Be a Person, a podcast about life, with me, your host, Giuliano Grimaudo. All right, Alexander and Viki, how's it going?
Fantastic.
Amazing.
Thanks so much for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Giuliano, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for someone who's listening for the first time, and maybe you guys as well, like I try to go into these as blind as I can. I normally, when I connect with someone, I go, oh yeah, I think I'd like to talk about that. And then I don't look at it again. So even right now, I'm like, I don't even remember what you guys talk about. So let's just get into it. Tell me who you guys are, what you do. And we'll
You have no idea what we do. We could tell you anything right now.
Literally. No, but I do that on purpose because
We're actually FBI profilers,
That's
and we're profiling you right now. You didn't know that? You're on candid camera.
No, what inspired me to start this podcast was all of the conversations I was having with people while I was driving Uber for like over a decade. And to me, I feel like not remembering and not knowing what we're going to talk about is kind of like recreating that same experience, and kind of just exploring what kind of comes up and what my curiosity is at the time. And so, that's the way that I do it. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about what you guys do, and we'll go from there.
Sounds fantastic.
Okay, so I'm Viki, and this is Alexander. We are married. We work together, and we're romantic partners. We've been together for 13 years.
Okay.
I'll actually start here. So I was at a cafe, and my friend was 45 minutes late, and I was sitting in a window, and it was pouring rain, and I was looking out the window, and suddenly, I was kind of looking around, and I see Alexander walk in and comes over, fidgets with his umbrella, and then finally starts talking to me, and he asks me my date of birth, and proceeds to tell me all about myself,
Okay.
both the good things and the not so good things. Okay. The not so good things, but I mean, it works for him to do that, but we don't recommend that usually
It's
if
not
you're
a
like
good
trying to
pickup line.
pick up someone to
Sure.
not, talk about all their,
You're going to play the five of diamonds, and it means you can be very restless and scattered. Yeah, it's not what you tell a woman the first time you're meeting her. Usually.
Yeah, who
it's
knows? I
someone
mean, it
like
worked for
Viki.
you, right?
Well, yeah, unless it's someone like Viki who is devoted to her own spiritual growth.
Mm.
Yeah, so I had been on a long journey of self-discovery. I had a medical issue in my late 20s. I'll be 58 in 2 days. And the medical issue was resolved within 1 to 3 days after going to see an energy healer.
Mm.
And that just really catapulted me into the world of healing and spirituality and who am I and what is God and all these kinds of things. And really diving deep into myself, into wounding, and just wanting to learn as much as I possibly could about me and how to live my best life, And so then, fast forward when I meet Alexander and he starts telling me all about myself in like 20 minutes versus 20 years of the work I had done on myself, I listened. Basically, what he told me about is the true meaning of the regular deck of playing cards. So that's what we're here to talk about.
Interesting.
The real meaning. Yeah.
You know what I'm curious about, Viki, was before you had that experience with the energy healing, like what was your belief system around reality and all of that stuff?
I was always very intuitive as a kid. I knew things about people. I could read people really well. So I know that I felt something deeper, like I could, it's like I was connected, like I had this sort of telepathy, like I could, kind of read things and feel things and predict things in some ways, like know something's going to happen. I mean, not all the time, but so there seemed like there was something bigger. And then also, I was brought up Catholic, and I was quite sick going to church every time. I had to go to church every morning before school. I went to Catholic school, and I would get so nauseous that they'd have to bring me out outside and I'd have deep breaths and I thought I was going to throw up. And
Okay.
I feel like, I was tuning into something, like, of course, like, the
Mm.
church that I went to talked about how, like, we're all going to hell and, all these things, and it didn't seem like, quite right to me, the things that they were talking about. I think at that age, I just
Hmm.
kind of could tune into that and know that. But I always felt like there was something bigger, maybe not in a religious sense, a God, but I felt like there was something bigger than,
Mm.
I still like the word God. I use the word God. So
Yeah, I think everyone
yeah.
is going to use like different terms as they, evolve over time. And if they're on like a path, like you said, that you guys have been on, where you're on this spiritual journey, I think it shifts and changes over time. Part of the reason I ask is because that's kind of similar to my background, in the sense that I was raised very religious, and I think that a lot of stuff in religion can be helpful and maybe came from a good place, but I also find that it can be limiting.
Mm-hmm.
And like when you were talking about your experience of always being very intuitive or whatever. I think about my own experience as I was growing up, that there were certain things about me that I just would like, press down and like kind of put away because it didn't fit into the mold of what I was being taught. And so instead of embracing what it is about me that was unique, or the things that I thought I knew, like intuitively speaking, you would just be like, that doesn't really line up though with this. So that must be wrong, or that must just be a random thought or whatever. um so what led you to even like consider energy healing when your background was being raised in a religion like that?
Um, Gosh, I'm trying to think of like the order of how things unfolded for me. I think that I
Right.
always was interested in things that were out of the box, kind of
Hmm.
esoteric things. Like I liked astrology and I liked, meditation and yoga and things that were, well, those things aren't really out of the box now, but, they were that, like
Yeah.
more, sort of different, um, yeah, like weekend workshops for healing would be very appealing to me. Like, oh, what is
Mm.
that about? Because I wanted to learn about all these different things for
Okay.
myself. Yeah. And so, yeah, I just found it interesting and I was definitely curious about it,
Wasn't it
Yeah.
also that your mother recommended someone
And
to
also,
you? Yeah.
yeah, I mean, also a big part was like, it's like, it's not, my parents weren't super religious, so even though I went to Catholic school, it wasn't like, hardcore, like you have to go. And,
Mm.
my mother, I guess, I'm not sure what she would say about herself now, but I would say an atheist. When I was growing up, she didn't really believe. And she's the one that found me an energy healer.
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
Well, it's funny too,
And
because I guess
also,
there's an assumption that when someone is atheist, that they believe that there's nothing, like nothing besides what is like materially known. And so it's interesting then that she would be the one who would recommend
yeah,
you to
yeah.
energy healer.
Yeah, but now, yeah, so that wouldn't be a good definition for her now because she believes in other things and the power of the universe and energy and things
Yeah.
like that. So,
Yeah.
the other piece of the story is that you had already tried to heal with like doctors couldn't fix it. That was the other. You were kind of not at the end of your rope, but like you'd already tried traditional
hmm
doctors
hmm
Mm.
as well, and
yeah,
it just
Are you comfortable sharing what you were talking about, what your health issues were?
I didn't have to get my period for 6 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah,
So
and
the
then
energy, I'm sorry, go ahead.
and I did try all these other things too because again, like I believe in holistic. I don't know exactly like how that started, but I do believe in alternative things. So like I remember going for like, colonics and having herbs and doing cleanses and things like that. Like I did go down that road, but taking vibrational remedies and things like that. Yeah.
Interesting.
So,
So how long after was that you mentioned this like energy healing, and then you said it was after that that you and Alexander met? How long was that?
uh, I guess 20 years. We met 13 years ago. That was my late 20s. I don't know. Do the math. What's the math of that? Yeah.
Uh,
Um, yeah, I would say 20 years of being on the path of really diving in. I ended up going to the Barbara Bredin School of Healing, which is a 4-year program. So I became a healer. I'm now a healer, energy healer. I've done theta healing, the Melchizedek method. I studied with shamans. I have done a lot of different kinds of healing modalities, and like I've worked with hundreds of healers because like not only like did I want, it was like about self-discovery and healing myself, but also just I learned so much. I mean, you learn the most. To me, I learned the most working with somebody else, right? As soon as like
Mm,
they would do some, protocol or some, I don't know, their way of doing it, hands on, hands off, whatever it was, and I would just like get it. I would know exactly. I'm
mm,
like, okay, I can do that now. I can do that. I can do that for somebody else. I can do that for myself. Like that
mm.
was the best education. Like going to healers to learn. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. So, Alexander, then when you met Vicky and you started talking about this like deck of cards stuff. I mean, okay, so first of all, what I will say, I should have pulled one of my decks because I have like a ton of decks of cards because at one point I was like really into doing like card tricks and stuff.
No
And
kidding.
then I remember looking up stuff about like the meaning of the decks. And I was like, oh, that's kind of okay. That's interesting. Like everyone just assumes, oh, whatever, it's just a deck of cards. Like it's just organized, in whatever way because that's what's most efficient for playing a bunch of games or whatever. And so it definitely interests me a lot, but I'm curious of like all I've heard about your part of this story is you just appeared and
That's it. That's all. That's it.
started teaching about the deck of cards.
That's my part of the story. I just show
So
up and then
where
With
did
some
you come
cards.
from? Where did you appear out of?
I show up with cards and then I get sweaty and then I talk some more cards. I'm sweating like a Baptist preacher over here right now in our Brooklyn heat. So okay, my own story is actually similar to Vicky's. Not that I needed an energy healer to heal my period issues, but I had a lot of different background searching that I had done growing up Roman Catholic as well,
Mm,
and ended up on a spiritual quest, and that's really the only way to say that. Starting from age 17, on a retreat that my Roman Catholic school offered my senior year of high school, I had a surprising spiritual awakening that led me on a journey. And I didn't know it at the time, but it led me to eventually find the real meaning of the deck of playing cards.
what does
And
that
again,
mean? The spiritual awakening thing. What does that mean?
well,
Like
what does
specifically?
that mean? Well, it was my senior year of high school, and the school offered a 3-day retreat to, they called it an encounter, and they may still offer them. And it was 3 days to get out of school and stay at a retreat center right on the beach just north of Miami. I grew up in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
So it was 3 days to hang out with my friends on the beach, basically. I'm like, yeah, sign me up.
Yeah.
On the last night of the retreat, a priest came to talk to us about walls around our hearts, walls that block out God's love. He led us on this exercise that was very moving. Everybody was in floods of tears, including the tough football players. And afterwards, I wanted to talk to him. It was the first time I had actually wanted to talk to a priest in all my long, dreary upbringing of being forced to go to confession and go to church. I wanted to talk to him. He was sitting in a like cafeteria room in the retreat center, like linoleum floor, fluorescent lights overhead, that kind of setting, and sitting on a folding chair in the middle of the room. And I went out sheepishly to talk to him, and I sat opposite him in what you would call face-to-face confession.
Okay.
And I don't remember what I shared with him at this point, it's so many years ago. But when I was done, he stood up to pray for me. He put his fingertips on my forehead, and the moment that he did, something went whoosh right through my body, like an electricity, water sensation all at once,
Mm,
and unmistakably from head to toe, and in a split second. And in that moment, I felt washed clean. And afterwards, after the retreat, I was noticeably different to my family. Like
mm,
something definitely changed about me. So I felt washed clean. And the other important detail, which I mentioned, is that it launched me, because in that moment, I realized there was something real behind all the religious mumbo jumbo, behind
mm,
all the dogma. There was a real current of living energy that had zapped me and cleansed me, and you could say even woke me up. And that was the starting point. That was the catalyst. I didn't know it at the time, but in retrospect, looking back, that was the catalyst that led me on a long spiritual journey through evangelical Christianity. I became a born again Christian for a while. I went back to Roman
Mm,
Catholic seminary. I'm back to my Roman Catholic roots and Catholic seminary. I thought I might be a priest at one point.
okay.
Meanwhile, I had done well in school growing up, so I got into Harvard and I studied philosophy, looking for answers in the great thinkers, and went to. I did all the things, and we can go through the chronological order if you want. But I went to India, meditated all day, hiked the mountain to meet the guru, that kind of thing. Did ayahuasca ceremonies, apprenticed to shamans, read every spiritual book, esoteric system I could find, all looking
Mm,
for answers.
yeah.
Who am I? What am I doing here? What's this all about? And then it was at a party in Brooklyn where someone casually introduced me to the real meaning of the playing cards. And it hit me like a ton of bricks, proverbially. I had a deja vu moment. The air got thick around me. And that was my first introduction to the real meaning of the playing cards. That was in 2009. I
Okay.
forget which year exactly. I should probably know. No, yeah, I think it was 2009. It was the day after my son's second birthday. And I was still skeptical when I heard it. I
Yeah.
didn't believe it all at once, even though it really hit me hard in that moment. Because in that moment and the party, this friend of mine, acquaintance of mine, told me based on the numbers of my date of birth that I'm born to play the Nine of Hearts. And the reason it hit me so hard is because the day before I found out I was getting divorced, and it kind of caught me out of left field. We were arguing in the marriage, but I was surprised that she
Okay.
put divorce papers on the table. And so then the next day I go out to a party to clear my head and just kind of get some fresh air, so to speak. And I walk in and he says, "Oh, what's your birthday?" "August 30th." And he does a little calculation and like, "Oh, that means your birth card is the Nine of Hearts. It means in this lifetime you're going to go through tragic endings of the heart. You're going to have to learn how to let go and forgive and move on." So it was really precisely relevant for
Yeah.
exactly what I was going through in that moment. It wasn't just an intellectual curiosity.
Mm,
He unknowingly spoke directly into what was very present for me in that moment in my life. And
yeah.
so it really hit me and it hit hard. But like I said, I was still skeptical. Like, what? Playing cards? That can't be right. I've been to India. I studied philosophy at Harvard. I can recite theological concepts to
Mm,
you and deep, profound blah, blah, blahs, and playing
yeah.
cards? Come on. So it took me a little while. And there's a story there as well of my own process with the cards and deciding that I would take it up as a profession. My family thought I was crazy. Like, I'm a Harvard graduate. I had worked on Wall Street. I was a successful entrepreneur. And here I am. I'm going to start a business doing what gypsies used to do. And so, there was a lot in there of my own process of deciding
Sure.
this is what I'm going to give my life to. And it was a big step of faith. And it has not been an easy journey. It's been a challenging journey. But then meeting Vicky, and now we work together, and things have gotten smoother and getting the snowball rolling, getting the word out there, talking to people like you about it, gradually educating people about the real meaning of the playing cards and how ancient they are and what we can do
Mm,
with them and how they can help us.
yeah. Well, I'd love to get into it. I have a couple questions about your story. So,
Yeah.
first of all, you had this experience when you were younger that was very like visceral and real,
Hmm.
and that was within the like structure of Catholicism.
Yeah.
But you also didn't latch on to Catholicism. It seems like that was like a starting point for you to explore everything else. It seems like the opposite. Like I would assume, oh, you have this real experience within this specific
Hmm.
religion that you would be like, oh, so this is the real, this is the truth, or whatever you might call it. Like, I'm just curious, like, what your thoughts are on that.
That's a fantastic question. Um, because of the visceral, tangible reality of it, that became my touchstone of what I was looking for.
Okay.
And
Mm.
I was already perfectly well aware that that was not the normal Roman Catholic experience.
Mm,
This guy, and I even knew it at the time, I was like, whoa, this guy is legit. This priest, he's the real effing deal. He's able to transmit this energy. And when I told you, when he spoke to us, he had everybody in tears. He was really
Wow.
speaking a deep, resonant truth. And I had said to myself, even early on, I was like, one day when I grow up, I want to be like that. I want to be
Mm,
able to offer that to other people, that kind of instantaneous transformation where I was
mm,
hurting emotionally as a boy from divorced parents and emotional trauma, this, that, and the other. And I was very closed off, and I had a lot of hurt and wound in my heart. And a lot of it healed in that moment instantly from that experience. So I
mm,
always had said to myself that when I grow up, I want to be able to offer that kind of healing for others. But it became my touchstone to answer your question of what I was looking for. What's the real, visceral, tangible truth,
mm.
not whatever the dogma says. And so that became, you could say, my guiding light.
Yeah. If you're enjoying the show and want to support, go to howtobeaperson.co and click support the show. The more support the show gets, the more episodes can be produced. So, but what's interesting though is that so this priest was like a Catholic priest, correct?
Catholic priest, Father Skip.
So, what do you
I
think was
never knew
going
that.
through like his head then, right? So for you, you're
He
like,
may
oh,
not
this is
even have known. He may not even have known the effect that he had on me,
oh,
although probably he could feel the energy coming out of his body. In other traditions, in Hindu traditions, it's called Shaktipat, the
okay,
ability to transmit that kind of divine, air quotes, energy to another
okay,
person. And I've experienced it a little bit myself. I've had a couple of minor experiences where I felt like that energy transmitted from my fingertips.
mm,
So it's cross religion. It transcends religious dogmas. That human ability to be able to be a vessel of light, vessel of
mm,
God, vessel of consciousness, to be able to transmit energy like that.
yeah. Would you agree with what I had said before about religion? Like so for me, when I look at it, because like I said, I was raised very religious, and then I left, and I was probably atheist for like 3 days, and then and then I
You rose again. You rose again from the atheism.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But I mean that's an exaggeration. But my point is, I think that's like the typical path, right? If someone is really religious, if they leave, they become atheists, and some people stay on that path. And then I think, I'm not going to speak dogmatically because that's the opposite of what I mean, that was to me the issue with what I grew up with. But in my experience, in what seems like to be typical is that someone, if they move past that, then they go and realize, okay, wait a second, I don't believe in this thing because that feels too like it's too much. Like it's too rigid. But I do believe there's more going on here than meets the eye, right? Like there's certain experiences that you'll have, and there's certain like coincidences and things where you're just like, what? Like how I can't even wrap my head around that. And so you go like, there has to be more going on here. Like there's something going on beneath the surface. And that was kind of like what my path was. But it's interesting because I'm thinking about like you with your experience in that moment, um having that like, okay, you were there under this, like within this structure of a specific religion, but then you had this experience, but then that made you realize, oh wait a second, this actually isn't it, because I know this isn't the typical experience within this religion. So there's more to it. So anyway, I'm asking, like, do you feel like that is the case, that it's like religion for the most part, whether it's now or in the past, there was some sort of good intention behind it, and it's almost like my experience, if I had to like quantify exactly what happened there, is that I think people were having experiences like the ones you had, and they really cared and wanted other people to have those experiences, but that in reality having those experiences is a personal thing and like a journey that you're on, and that like almost unfolds naturally. And that I think religion is almost trying to put like a structure and a rigid nature to almost like recreating those experiences.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, how much time do you have? I could talk for hours about this topic. This is a topic near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, let's talk more.
Um, and I'll start off by saying that Carl Jung said that religious dogma is designed to prevent people from having spiritual experiences.
Mm,
It's a loaded statement. It's a provocative statement. And I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but that was the
sure,
gist of it.
sure.
Um, Fast forward to when I discovered the real meaning of the deck of playing cards, which, when I say that, I believe the deck of 52 playing cards is none other than the book of life, It's a little book of our life on earth, same book of life that the Bible references. So
Really?
it's biblical. So let's do that first. Then do you want to, once you go through the numbers, Vicky?
Well, wait, hold on, wait. Before we go into that, what I want to know is what you said, what you mentioned that Carl Jung said. Do
We're
you
gonna
do you
get
agree
there.
with?
We're gonna get there.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
okay,
We'll get there. We go.
okay,
This is gonna be a
oh,
long conversation.
oh! It's going to loop
It's
back.
gonna loop back. But
okay,
first,
okay,
All
let's
right.
lay some basics.
okay.
So
If you
there
say
are
so.
52 cards in the deck,
Yeah.
52 weeks in the year,
Yes.
4 suits, 4 seasons, 13 cards in a suit, 13 weeks in a season. When you add up the face value of all of the cards, so the ace equals 1, 2 equals 2, jack equals 11, queen equals 12, king equals 13. So you add up all 52 of the cards, you get 364. The Joker is the 5th element in a 4-part system, the 4 parts being hearts, clubs, diamonds, and spades. So the Joker's numerical value is 5/4, which is 1 1/4. So when you put the Joker into the deck, you get 365 1/4. So the exact replica of the Earth rotating around the sun.
Okay.
That is, if you believe that the Earth rotates around the sun.
Be prepared for the flat earthers.
Oh yeah, we get the most. I mean, you'll go viral with that.
We went viral on one of our
Yeah,
videos
because I said that.
We couldn't figure out why until we realized it was because she said the Earth goes around the sun, and then the flat earthers went in and got crazy. So to bring it back to what we're talking about, it's a perfect model of the Earth going around the sun. It's a perfect model of the calendar, and it's as old as anything we know. We don't exactly know. No one knows how old it is. Ancient Egypt, ancient China, it's old. Even by skeptics' standards, it's old.
It's a good point. No one, I mean, so what you just laid out about like the weeks and the months and the seasons and all that stuff, that's exactly when I was saying that before I like learned something, that was what I had learned. I was like, oh, that's kind of crazy. I never really realized all of those parallels.
Oh,
And so
yes.
that's really cool. And I appreciate you sharing that. And I forget where I was going with this now. Anyway, sorry, you can go ahead.
Just that it is by any account ancient, even among people who want to be skeptical about so-called
that's what it was. Was that like
so-called woo-woo topics.
Nobody. I mean, I don't know when it started. Like, I'm assuming nobody has ever been like, yeah, this is where a deck of cards came from.
Well, I'll tell you my hypothesis in a moment on that.
Okay.
Point being that in ancient times, books didn't have bindings, and scrolls, parchment, books of the Bible were written on scrolls and parchment, and they were known as books in an ancient mindset. So you have these 52 loose leaves that accurately represent the seasons and cycles of life on Earth. It's a little book of our life on Earth. That's how it was known in an ancient mindset, because it would have been known as a book, and it represents the seasons and cycles of life. It's a little book of life. So I started to look at it that way. And this is, granted, still a hypothesis. I don't have any proof of this. But when I started to look at it through that lens, a lot of the references in the Bible started to make more sense. Like, oh, there is actually a book of life that the Bible is referencing. And for instance, in the book of Revelations, we're told that we're going to be judged on the final day of judgment according to the book of life. The book of life will be open and we'll be judged according to the book of life. What's fascinating is that the Bible defers to another book, and you have religious people who think that the Bible is it. That's the word of God. Okay, if you believe that, then you must also believe that the book of life is higher than the Bible, is more authoritative, because the Bible defers to the book of life as the final book of judgment.
Yeah.
So that's a little rabbit hole to get in with the religious folks. But so my realization that that's what it is, and I started to play around with it and look at it that way. And in my own meditations, I started to notice that the pip patterns, and you're doing card tricks, so you know the hearts, clubs, diamonds, spades are pips. All the patterns of the 4, the 5, the 7, all those patterns come out of the tree of life. The tree of life in Kabbalistic Jewish mysticism, that tree of life, although the tree of life is actually older than the Jewish mystical tradition, but that tree of life comes out of the flower of life, And the flower of life is the oldest known spiritual symbol anywhere in the world. It's cross-cultural. You can find it in ancient Egypt, China, Ireland, all over the world. You have flower of life symbols etched into stone. The patterns on these cards come out of the tree of life, which comes out of the flower of life. That's how old these cards are.
Okay.
In the Sumerian myths, which are the oldest known myths we have in Mesopotamia, the Sumerians claim that they had tablets of destiny. When you, again, it's a hypothesis, granted, but when you read their myth through the lens of could it be referencing these cards, it makes sense. It tracks, because they talk about how anyone who could read the tablets of destiny could understand all the magic and mystery of life on Earth.
Okay.
And they don't claim credit for inventing the tablets of destiny. They say they were a gift to from their gods. So that, again, that's how old these cards are. And is it possible that they are a gift from an advanced race of extraterrestrial beings? I don't know. But there's some interesting rabbit holes that we can look down into, and it
Yeah.
tracks. Even though it boggles the mind and challenges everything we may think we know about our reality, it tracks and it makes sense. So that's my hypothesis of the origin story. Now, how I came to the answer to your question, now that we have some foundation to the question, so I can give you the answer. The suit of spade, one more thing. We are all four suits, human beings. So the clubs represent the mind. The
Okay.
hearts represent the heart, emotions, obviously enough. The club is a clover. It's a flower of our thoughts. The diamond represents the gut and the physicality of life. The spade is an acorn. And in some medieval decks, there even was acorns. The spade is an acorn, and the acorn classically is a symbol of the pineal gland, the third eye, vision, faith, imagination. And it's a great mystery how the whole oak tree grows out of this tiny little acorn. So the acorn, or the spade, is used symbolically to represent that in the tiny seed of our belief, everything else about us grows from that tiny seed of our belief. And we are three in one beings. We're not a mind, a heart, or a body. We're all three in one that starts with what we believe. So the spades represent the Holy Trinity. We ourselves are a Holy Trinity.
Okay.
Now, that's also foundational to give you the answer to your question, because all dogma and all science operates at the level of mind. It's thought, it's words, it's language. If you can put it into words, if you can speak it, if you can write it in a creed or write it in a scientific statement, we're in the realm of language, which is mind. It's mind energy.
Yeah.
Spades represent consciousness, belief, reality itself, awareness itself prior to language, before you can put it into words. It's just your awareness of reality, your knowingness. The Bible says you know, like with a capital K. When you know, you know. It's knowing that transcends thinking. Or Paul called it, you get a peace that passes understanding. It's beyond the mind. The mind can't comprehend it. That's the level at which spiritual reality and spiritual experience exists. Dogma is mental. And what happens when you're dwelling in just dogma is you're actually disconnected from and prevented from the direct knowingness, the direct encounter, the direct experience. And that's why Carl Jung said what he said. It prevents you from having the direct religious encounter or spiritual encounter, because you're so in your head, you're so stuck in the thoughts that and you're so walled in inside your own thoughts that you don't have access to the direct religious experience
It's
unless
so
it
interesting
breaks
because
through.
I feel like that's
Like you can have a random spiritual awakening, but you could also consciously cultivate it. And the people who created the dogma, they created dogma because they were afraid. They were trying to control, and they were afraid of people believing whatever they wanted to believe, and they thought that would create chaos. So they wanted to create order and structure. And to your point, they thought they were doing a good thing. We need order. We need structure. We need everybody to believe the same thing and think the same thing, march to the beat of the same drum.
That'll create peace.
That'll create peace.
Yeah.
That's how we'll have a good society. That'll create justice. They thought they were doing a good thing, but they were also afraid of what they couldn't control, and you cannot control consciousness.
Mm. And so
And that's
essentially through this very like tangible, like you said, written, structured rules and dogma in an attempt potentially, right, to help people. I mean, you know, yeah, I guess it's tough. It's hard to know like the exact motivation behind it, because I do agree with what you're saying, right? I could see them being like, hey, we want everyone, you know, we want there to be order and peace. I could also see it being like, hey, people were having these experiences and they wanted other people to, and so they were trying to write it down and put it in some sort of, you know, repeatable format. But
maybe.
also I also get where you're coming from too, and that's very possible. But it's funny because what you said was exactly what I was saying earlier, is that it disconnects you from actually having the experience, because you're having this. It's almost like you said, it's like this mental version of it
Yeah.
instead of like this experiential version of it.
Well, to your point, I would agree with you that there are people, and there are still people alive today, who think, notice my choice of words, who think that by getting everyone to think alike, they're going to create a positive experience for that person
Mm,
and for society. If only we would all think Democrat, then we'd have a better world. If only we all thought
mm,
Republican, then we'd have a better society. There are people who think that if we can get everyone to think alike, that's the answer to all
Yeah.
of our problems. But those
mm,
people are misguided, and they're disconnected from the spiritual reality. I'm using the word spiritual loosely. They're
yeah,
disconnected from the field of consciousness, let's call it.
yeah. So what do
And
you? So
so, just one more
specifically,
thought.
with
One more thought.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
going to
please,
finish because I want to finish
yeah,
the answer to your other question, which is it was only through knowing the real meaning of the deck of cards. That's why I gave that foundation. Is only through realizing, oh, spades, and they're just symbols. It's a symbol of consciousness, and
yeah,
clubs is a symbol of mind. Those are different. Most of the time, most people conflate them. They'll
Yes.
conflate
mm,
thinking and believing. I
mm,
changed my mindset and I changed my beliefs. No, those are two different things. So it was
mm.
only through knowing the cards, the real meaning of them, that I was able to finally realize the difference between dogma and consciousness, clubs and spades, symbolically, to give myself the answer to your very question of why dogma blocks us, how dogma blocks us, and why we need to transcend it. So that's the
Mm.
answer to your question.
Yeah, it's because they're two separate things, like you
Totally
said.
separate.
Yeah, no, that makes so much sense. So I'm curious because you mentioned this. You know, we're talking about, you know, when you mentioned politics, what then is this? So if people think, oh, it's if everyone thought the same things, then we would be, you know, it would be, everything would be ordered. Is what is the solution? Because in my mind, I think, okay, it's more about like embracing who we are as individuals and leaning into that. That would be the okay, cool. You're
Good,
cheering.
That's
You're like,
exactly
good
right.
question.
That's exactly right. So we
okay.
would say it's about learning to play your own cards right and not trying to
Mm,
play someone else's cards, which we
mm,
see happens all the time.
mm.
So I'll jump right into that then.
Please,
We
yeah.
have a life path of cards based on our date of birth. And
Okay.
each of those cards shows a different aspect of who we are. So, for example, we have a birth card, and that's like what we're here, our light to shine in the world, our purpose. We have a Mercury card, that's how we think and communicate. We have a Saturn card. There is some overlapping with astrology, which is about life lessons and challenges. A Pluto card, which is about our unconscious hidden fears. So when you look at that card, which is a pattern, a sacred geometric pattern that exudes an energy, you can play that pattern on the high side and on the low side.
You have free will.
And so it's how do you choose to play these patterns that one
Mm,
is playing for their whole life. It's for their whole life that they play these cards. And then, learning to, overcome challenges and play what, make different choices, play the cards well, you know. And what we
interesting.
see over and over is that most of the time people don't know their own cards to play, right? They're comparing themselves to someone else. They're doing what someone else told them to do.
Hmm.
They're being guided by someone, played, totally different cards and saying, this is the way you need to do it. And the person's trying to do it.
Even just metaphorically trying to play someone else's cards.
Yeah, that's how I mean it. Like just, So, and then, feeling maybe like a failure in life, or judging themselves, judging other people. And then
Mm,
when they find out their cards play, it's like, oh my God, like this aha moment of, no wonder I've had all these experiences in my life, and why this didn't work for me, because I'm playing a different patterning than this other
mm.
person.
If you're enjoying the show, I think you'll love my book by the same name, How to Be a Person: 100 Gems on Living a Good Life. Available now on Amazon. Yeah, I've kind of encountered this and had conversations about it recently when it comes to like business in general. Actually, I just had someone on to talk about human design, and that was kind of what we were talking about, where it's like you can look at someone else and their success, and that person can be like, "Hey, I'll show you exactly what I did," and that's what a lot of people do, right? And I've done the same thing. People will make a course, they offer coaching to show people how to do what they did, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but also it's like, well, how do you know that that's going to work for you? It just worked for them. That doesn't mean it worked for you. Like in your terms, like they were playing their cards, and that's why
Yeah,
it worked for them, and we all have our own cards to play, essentially.
exactly.
Yes.
Well, and what it is, to take it at a deeper level, at a what I would call a meta rational level,
Okay.
instead of using the word metaphysical, where metaphysical means transcending physicality.
Mm,
I will say it's a meta rational answer because it transcends our ability to think it. The meta rational solution is that there is an intelligently designed matrix. It's not random. When we say, and when we colloquially all say, live your best life for you, do your thing that follows, that lights you up, follow your own bliss, it's not random. And it's
mm,
not a free for all. It's not moral relativism, because we actually can see mathematically what your cards are. And you could use human
mm.
design and gene keys and astrology. And there's a lot of wonderful tools out there. I like this one. It's the one I've gravitated to. I find it to be the simplest and the most elegant. That's what people tell me as well.
Mm.
And it's visual. And I like the visual patterning of the card that shows me how to play it in the visual pattern. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of other wonderful tools out there. And what the 52 cards reveal is that we live in a 52 factorial matrix. 52
Mm.
factorial mathematically is literally an infinite number. But it is finite. For all intents and purposes, it's infinite. Like there's infinite possibilities of how you can shuffle a deck of 52 cards, even
Yeah.
though it is actually a finite number. For our human purposes, it's infinite.
Yeah. What's the actual like number of
I
decimal
don't
places or
know. It's
whatever?
some crazy decimal places. Like it's more random than, or not more random, but you're more likely to get the same shuffle of deck of cards than to find like a grain of sand that you've marked, or something. It's something like that. Have you seen these videos? If you were to mark a grain of sand and drop it anywhere on a beach, anywhere in the world, your
Yeah.
chances of finding that grain of sand again are greater than ever shuffling a deck of cards the same way twice.
Hmm. That's so, yeah, I haven't heard the comparison, but when we were talking about this whole thing, I was thinking about that, about like like when you shuffle a deck of cards, they say like you'll almost like never have the same
Never.
shuffled deck ever again in your whole life, no matter how many times you shuffle it, which that's kind
Right.
of crazy to even think about, like, but it really is like that. And I was thinking about it because we're talking about, okay, if your life is somehow determined by what's in this deck of cards, then it would apply that it would be unique to each person because there is an infinite number of combinations, essentially.
That's right. And yet, you do have a set life path.
Okay.
And the factorial in the 52 factorial is your free will. That's what makes it unique to you, because you can choose how you play your cards. Anyone born on your birthday will have the same cards to play as you, just like anyone born at the exact moment as you in astrology would have the same planets as you. You have the same cards to play as anyone born on
Mm,
that day, but you have free will about how you choose to play it, and that's what makes it different.
interesting.
And so, what it does too, and this is the meta rational explanation I was describing, is that it gives a solution to the people who think that we all need to think alike, and that these same
Mm.
people who are scared, I'm going to use that word advisedly, who are scared to give people free will and freedom of consciousness, to
Mm,
let the reins go because they're scared of chaos and moral relativism, et cetera, et cetera. These people can relax. If you're one of these people out there, relax. There is an intelligently designed matrix that underpins all of our reality, and it's mathematical and it's not random. And based on your date of birth, you have a life path of cards. And so we do have a specific template to play, which is to say, once you know someone's cards, and soon enough, maybe the whole world will know these cards, then we can, for example, Vicky and I can look at each other and we know if we're off our game. I'm playing the nine of hearts. Vicky's playing the five of diamonds. So we know enough about the meaning of each other's cards on each other's life path that she can be like, yeah, I think you're on the low side of the nine of hearts right now, or vice versa. And then what it means is it's, again, not moral relativism. There is a right way to play your cards. And you'll know it's right because it feels good and it's uplifting,
Mm.
it's positive. And so there becomes, let's call it a metric that we can utilize to discern whether other people are playing their cards right. And it's not a one size fits all. It's a 52 factorial model that still has a metric in it and it has infinite variety in it. So we can all think our own way
Mm.
and still be resonating the truth at the same time. It's this beautiful paradox of both.
Interesting. Um, One of the things that you said about people following their bliss and doing what lights them up and makes them happy. Um, I've talked about that a lot. I wrote a book called How to Be a Person, and one of the things in there I shared recently on social media, and someone goes, "Well, so what if someone wants to be a serial killer? What if someone just likes to murder people, or whatever?" Um, how does that fit? How does the bad things that people do fit into this? Is it that idea that it's free will and they might be playing to the lower end of their
Yeah.
card, or
Well,
what?
yes.
Yeah. There are patterns. I'm a student of this information, and I do study historical figures and serial killers, and there are patterns in their cards, but no one card is better or worse than another, and we do have free will. And what we can say are we can see the patterns, but we're still not saying why that person did what they did. They did what they did for their own reasons, their own free will. Only their soul knows. But as students of this information, we can look and see, oh, yeah, he was born to play this card with these cards. And we can see how those patterns played out on a negative side. But
Mm,
that doesn't answer why that he did what he did or she did what she did.
It's
yeah.
also not like, oh, this one card would be a serial
Yeah.
killer. It's like it doesn't work like that. They all have their low side.
Yeah.
So it's just
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the things I'm curious about as well is like, how does this fit into your view of the world in general when it comes to things like that, right? So this is one of the things that I've kind of, been juggling in my mind, is thinking about how I want to, of course, do what lights me up, right? And I want to do what makes me happy and what makes me feel fulfilled and all of those things. But then, you're also aware of the fact that like there's someone on the other side of the world who's like totally suffering and all those things, right? And people like to bring it to your attention. You're like, oh, well, you have privilege because you're there and you don't have to experience this, and it just like keeps showing up in your face. And so what I'm wondering is like, I mean, obviously, I don't know if this is in line with what you normally talk about or not, but my point is, I'm just curious, like how you feel like this concept fits in with the idea that, because like what you were the one who was saying before, right? Like, oh yeah, we should be doing what we're excited about and what's in alignment with us. Then how does that fit into like the grand scheme of things in the entire world?
Well, I love that you're talking about it and asking us about it. So thank you. Um, I first of all, it starts with the self. All this stuff, everything starts with the self. So it's the first thing is to, yes, focus on healing oneself and finding one's spark, because that has a ripple effect across the world. Like my state of being is going to affect other people as I'm walking down the street, as I'm having
Mm-hmm.
conversations, whoever's in my life is going to be affected by me. So that's number one. Like energetically, even if I don't say anything, I am exuding an energy and people will be affected by that. So
Mm-hmm.
to me, it starts with it has to start with me. I only have
Mm,
responsibility for myself and how I show up and how I work on myself and love myself, which then I can love other people when I love myself. So
mm,
that's how I think it starts first
yeah.
with that. When people, say things like that about what comes to me when I see that happening, like, how could you be so happy when this is happening over here, right? It's like, oh, there's something in that person to me that, well, first of all, it sounds like it's shaming. The
Yeah.
other person is shaming. um and also there's some sort of belief about that. I'll use myself as an example, that I should feel bad and that will make me a better person. It's kind of
Mm,
like like being a martyr, which I think is a very common thing in the collective consciousness, that like, if we take on the weight of the world, if we, put other people before us, then we're amazing. And if we
mm,
focus on ourselves and I heal myself and love myself, I'm selfish, right?
mm.
That's I think a pretty big thing.
That's a
Yeah,
deep
for sure.
religious mind fuck.
Yeah. So
Yep.
so
Yep.
there
So
yeah.
true.
So
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 true.
therefore, really, I'm no good. I am no good if I'm putting everybody else before me and I am suffering because I'm suffering with those people over there. Then we all will just suffer. It's like,
Mm,
so now I'm not saying it's also an easy thing, because this
yeah.
is, I'm very passionate about what I'm talking about right now, because I have been a huge caretaker in my life in a negative way, right? Like
Mm,
taking on being the good friend, listening for 3 hours to someone and then getting
mm,
off the phone feeling absolutely exhausted. I mean, that's a really simple, small, silly example, but it is the truth.
yeah. Yeah.
And so, or just taking on, like, someone's in pain and I'm like, and then I'm stressed about it continuously because the person is in pain or suffering or ill. So I understand this really well. And again, I'm no good to anybody if I suffer with them. No good
Yeah.
at all. So there's a process to me of learning how to have deep compassion without taking it on, being a witness to what's happening, really feeling so compassionate and so much love towards another person or a situation or experience or something that's going on in the world, without going down with it in a way, right? Just so much love in myself. I that's where also comes in for me about God, the universe, source. I will pray and I will see, like, for example, a person in light. I will see them as their best self. I will see them in basking in unconditional love. That's how I feel. That's something that I feel like I can contribute in that way, and that
Mm,
helps me to have compassion in all ways for
yeah.
for all situations.
Yeah. Yeah. What comes to mind is that it's like there's a difference between caring and carrying it with you, right? Like
Yep.
and you have to be able to separate the two. What I'm curious of is this concept of the cards. It does it account for like the the nature of our reality and our experience? Meaning, like one of the things that I hear a lot in spiritual circles is that like you came here to have the experience that you're having, right? And that I I heard a while back about simulation theory, and for me, like growing up, I was playing video games, and so that like really resonated with me when I heard it. And the way I look at it is if like there's times where I would play, someone might play like a game where you're a soldier at war, and then
Mhm.
there's some little kids who are playing like I don't know, My Little Pony or something like that, right? Like they're two different games, but they can happen on the same platform, right? Like let's say you own an Xbox, is like you have a different game and you put that game in and that's the game you're playing. So
Yeah,
you can play on the same platform as someone else and be playing a completely different game as them.
exactly.
And I look at it and I'm like, why would I care what game this other person is playing? I'm here to play this game.
Exactly.
And that's kind of like the perspective I've taken on it. And I think sometimes it can feel a little bit callous because it's like, oh, well, so you
No,
don't care? It's like, well, I do care, but like, also, is it even my business what game they're playing? Like, if
no.
they came here to play Call of Duty and shoot other people, like, let them play that game. You know what I mean?
It's
I
all
came
cute.
here to play, Rich and Happy. Like
Yeah.
that's the game, and so that's the game I'm playing. Um, And so what I'm curious of is if like this concept of the cards, how that fits into that, like
Yes.
the whole nature of reality, and not
Yes.
just like what I'm saying is because I understand where, like, for example, with human design, I think
Yeah.
similarly, it's like how you are showing up in the world. Like that's how I view it more as, is like, oh, this is how I am as a person within reality. But I don't know how much it addresses like your actual life experiences, if it's, predestined or pre-planned or all of those things. I'm curious how this concept of the cards fits into that.
I'm going to keep paying you to ask us questions just going forward. I'm just going to keep you around wherever we go. And I'm just going to say, I'll point to you and you just ask a question and just feed me that softball. Just tee it up right there for me. And I'll just swing and I'll just hit a home run every single time. I love human design. And to me, it does not address the foundational question of what reality is.
Okay.
It shows us who we are as human beings. Fantastic. I love it. It's so helpful. It's been so helpful to me to know my human design, and for Vicky and my daughter and my son, and we talk about it. My personal feeling, and other people have reflected this back to me as well, is that the cards reveal the foundation of reality itself, the structure of reality itself. So the cards are constructed in a 4 by 13 pattern, 13 in each suit in 4 suits.
Yeah.
These are symbols. They're symbols of energy frequencies because everything is energy. So the king is a symbol of an energy frequency. The 7 is a symbol of an energy frequency. In quantum theory, the latest and greatest idea in quantum theory, is that reality is made of vibrating strings. That's how our reality is made. And whether it's 11 vibrating strings or 12 vibrating strings, the different hypotheses are there. My hypothesis is that as quantum physicists look deeper, they'll find that reality is made of 13 vibrating strings across 4 quadrants, 4 dimensions.
Hmm.
That's our reality. Somewhere, somehow, an advanced race of beings, way more advanced than we are, figured out how to map reality itself into a simple conceptual symbolic frame and produce that for us so that we can conceptually, in our minds, club energy here, with our minds, conceptually understand the energy field that we're in all the time, the sea in
Hmm.
which we're swimming. And by knowing it conceptually, then we can better orient ourselves. We're not swimming blind or flying blind. We can understand the energy frequencies more clearly, bring them into our mind more clearly, and then work with them more appropriately, more usefully, to build, literally to build better lives using these building blocks. They're like Lego blocks. And we can work with each Lego block, the 9 of hearts, the 6 of diamonds, and we can build consciously, knowing how to play them well. It's like playing a musical instrument. And we started ballroom dancing recently. We love dancing together. We were dancing salsa earlier today. Playing with the energy frequency is like learning how to dance or like learning how to play a musical instrument. You learn how to play it well, literally. And then you're playing all your energy frequencies well, that are the energy frequencies of reality itself, of which we, of course, are a part. Then we create a more harmonious reality altogether. And that's the answer. We will have a more enlightened society when we're all playing our cards right.
Interesting. And so then do you feel that that really is like the intention should be like, don't worry about how other people are playing their cards. Don't worry about the experience other people are having. Focus on your experience.
100%.
Yes, and if you know other people's cards to play, it makes things like really fun and exciting, and it puts the pieces to the puzzle together, and there's more understanding and acceptance because oh, they're playing that card. That's why they're doing what they're doing right now and saying what they're
Mm.
saying right now. It's like it's quite profound actually in that way. That's
Yeah,
what
that's
really got
interesting.
me was relationships and just knowing other people's cards to play. When I started looking up everybody else's cards, I was like, whoa, it's like mind blowing, to know an energy pattern someone's playing out, that there's a template for that.
Yeah.
So,
So I just want to establish, because the question that I'd asked before, like I just like very clearly, do you believe then that, and I'm sorry, what I mean is that do the cards, like this card concept, like dictate what someone's like well, because you actually mentioned before life path. Does it dictate like the experience that they're going to have here, and they have free will within that experience?
Well, we want to parse that word choice carefully.
Okay.
It reflects the life experience that you are going to have. The outcome that you get from that experience, the way you will have that experience, is your choice, is your free will.
Okay.
In addition, I would tell you, and we both have come to believe, that we choose our cards to play on the other side, so to
Mm,
speak, as a soul, so to speak.
okay.
You choose your cards by choosing your date of birth. And so you know ahead of time, oh, I'm going to be exploring this theme.
Mm,
So you've already chosen it. Once you have it, you can't change it. So you will have that thematic experience over and 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 over again. How you choose to experience it is your free will and determines how wonderful or not wonderful your life turns out.
interesting. And so this might be a hard question to answer, but that's just kind of just the way it goes. So then, part of what I'm asking then is like, let's say someone on the other side of the planet is going through some terrible thing. Is it the case that they chose that path and they chose that experience? I know it's uncomfortable.
At a
Look,
soul level,
I'm
yes.
exploring these
At
questions
a,
myself. That's why I'm asking.
at a soul level, yes.
Okay.
Which is not to say that it absolves us from any shared responsibility. And we're parsing out again the distinction
Yeah.
between caring and carrying, and what Vicky talks about how we can consciously send our light and our love, and the
Mm,
butterfly effect is real. We
yeah.
can ripple effect energy out across our shared field. So it's not to say that those people deserve to suffer because they chose it. It's not to say we
Mm,
can't better their situation. But we've come to believe, and this is based on other work. One of them is Michael Newton's book, Journey of Souls,
okay.
that everything is pre-chosen by the soul. It knows what it's going to experience: sexual abuse, trauma, being a paraplegic, dying of poverty,
Interesting.
and it's a chosen experience that the soul wants to experience.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting. Like I said, I've had this whole journey of, what I used to believe and then not believing anything. And then now kind of just exploring things. And it is really interesting to like kind of ponder some of those questions.
Hmm.
I think for me, and I was talking about this with one of my other guests recently, that like there's experiences that I've had that, if you ask me objectively, would I ever want to go through that again? No. Would anybody else want to go through it? They would probably opt not to. Um, but I also like love that I had those experiences and I have appreciation for them because it's like made me who I am now. Like, and it's funny, like when I heard this idea that maybe we chose our experiences ahead of time, it felt so good. Like I don't know how to describe, but
Ooh.
it felt so good when I looked back on the experiences I had. I'm like, oh, that feels so right. And then I think about some of the people who were involved in that experience, and maybe if you wanted to look at it with your mind and not with your
Yeah,
with your consciousness, you would be like, that was a bad person in the experience,
yeah,
or like that person did bad things to me.
yeah.
I look at that person now and I'm like, man, I appreciate you so much because you helped me do the thing I came here to do. Which again, all in the context of, no, I wouldn't want to go through that again. And most people would not want to go through that either. But without getting specific about what I went through. But that's how I feel. And so I don't know. Like when I think about what other people are going through, I'm like, maybe they're going to feel like that at some point too, and who am I to say that they didn't come here to have that experience? And like, why do I have to get wrapped up in it and try to intervene when in reality, I look at mine and I go, oh man, that was perfect. Like I am thankful to like, and I haven't maybe said it to these people, but like in my mind, I have this like, or in my heart, I have this appreciation and this love almost, right? This like overwhelming love where it's like, thank you so much for fulfilling that for me because I needed, that was exactly what I came here for, If you've ever thought about writing a book, Peaceful Profits can help you go from idea to published author and even position your book to become a bestseller. Go to howtobeaperson.co and click Peaceful Profits Author Resource to get more information now. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's really beautifully said. I mean, because I feel that way, and I'm more and more I feel that way for myself. Like as I'll go through something, and I'll be like, I just said it the other day. I'm doing this to myself. I chose this. I
Mm,
chose to play this game, and to I'll just, playing the five of diamonds. It's not easy to be in the physical body because it's out of the box energy. And I've had a lot of physical stuff. And it's just like,
mm,
sometimes I feel so defeated about it. But I'm like, nope, I chose this and I'm learning and it's an opportunity, for me.
mm.
So to really embrace that and see these things as opportunities for growth and loving myself more in that. But then when you ask the question about the other person, I did hesitate because it is very hard for me to say that about another human being. That I struggle
Mm,
with that. Like to say, yes, that person chose to go through the hell they're going through right now. Like that's
mm,
very hard for me. I'm even getting emotional right now. Like that's a very hard thing for me to say. It's like, who am I to say that about that other person? But
yeah.
yet, if I believe what I believe for myself,
Yep.
then it must be true for other people too. you know?
That's exactly it. That's how I feel. Like when I
Oh
think
my
about my
God.
own experiences and I'm like, this is the conclusion I've come to about my own experiences. So if that's true for me, then it must be true for them too. And when you say it, you sound like an asshole. You know what I mean?
Yes. Oh
You're
my
like,
God.
oh, so they chose
Absolutely.
it. You're like,
Absolutely. Yes, I totally feel that way. Like,
Here's,
who am I?
here's an important distinction that, and this is something that Vicky and I do for each other at our best in our marriage,
sure.
is we don't tell the other person, "Oh, this is why this is happening for you."
Mm,
It's not like, "Oh, you chose this." So if she's going through something physical, at my best, and I have my hangry moments, but at my best, I'll be like, "Oh yeah, you chose all that for you." That's very callous. It's
mm,
not compassionate if she's going through something for me to remind her, air quotes, "Oh yeah, you chose all that." So there's a difference between knowing it for ourselves and what we call coaching the other person. And we'll
mm,
say, I don't want any coaching right now. I don't want to be reminded that this is the meta rational reality. I'm
yeah.
having my human experience right now. And actually, what I really want is some compassion right now and not some
Yeah.
kind of hoity toity intellectualism that
Yeah.
tells me your soul chose this and that's why you're going through it. So, at our best, we've drawn that distinction for ourselves to not impose that kind of
Mm,
judgment on the other person's experience.
When you're
yeah.
in it, I don't think you can hear any of that
Yeah.
when you're going through whatever you're going through,
Yeah.
right? It has to be at the
Yeah.
right time and place to say something like that. So,
Yeah. Well, and
And
it
it's
also
really
so
feels
you
interesting.
like,
created this. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it also feels like like there is this separation of like it's almost as if like after the experience you get to look back and be like, hey, that was great. And in the moment, like the whole point was to have the experience, not to
Yeah.
be like have this like meta view of it while you're in it. You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You've got it
So
down.
let's
I
talk
have
more about
Listen,
the cards.
after
I have a question for you,
like
but we'll
Oh,
get.
okay.
Go ahead. You.
well, I can't. We're having this very amazing conversation. We have to know your cards to play.
Yeah.
For goodness
For
sake,
goodness
like,
sake.
don't you? We need to know. Like, come on. Is that what you were going to
Yeah,
ask?
we're not letting you off the call
No
without
way.
finding out your
We're
cards to
going
play.
on. We're.
I mean, I want to know too, obviously. But what were you going to ask, Alexander?
What's
The
your
same
birthday?
thing, probably.
Oh.
What's your birthday? Yeah. What's your
It's
birthday?
November 7th.
Let me see if I guessed right.
November 7th. Boom, boom, boom.
A club. I thought a club. Okay, November 7th is King of Clubs, Four of Diamonds.
So your birth card is the King of Clubs.
Okay.
All right. So knowing that clubs, what do you think that means? I'm curious. What do you think
Oh.
being the King of Clubs as your birth card means?
So clubs was the mental thing, wasn't it?
Mind, yeah, mental.
I guess I mean I feel like I haven't heard enough about what any of the cards mean to even have an answer, but I'll say like I don't know, maybe um like exploring the like highest level of
Sure.
how things work and like I don't know.
Well, what does the king mean? The king is an obvious archetype. I appreciate your humility, but what does the king mean?
Um, like he's the leader.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're a thought leader.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Right. It was way simpler than I had said. Interesting.
Well, it's interesting because the king of clubs, more often than not always, but more often than not, people born to play the king of clubs demur from that role. Like you don't want to think of yourself as a thought leader. You have humility about what thought leadership even looks like. But you're
Interesting.
here to be a thought leader.
Interesting. Tell me more. I'm curious. Like, is that all? Like, what it?
No, there's
like,
there's a ton to
That's it,
tell
no.
you. Yeah,
yeah, I'm like, oh, thought leader, cool. There you go. Bye.
The masculine leader of knowledge, of wisdom, leading the way with what you know. And, on the low side, kings can be authoritative in a negative way and condescending. So I'm not sure if that resonates with you, but on the low
100%. I
side,
definitely have been.
mhm. Yeah. So condescending, cutting, chopping people off with the club, clubbing people over the head, knowing more than anyone else, Um, yeah, it's even like you can even see it on the patterning, the royal on the card. If you're just listening, you can pull out your deck of cards at home if you have them and pull out the King of Clubs. You'll see his sword there.
He's looking away from his sword, and the outer edge of the sword is blunt. So what happens if you, it's a paradox, but if you avoid your rightful place of responsibility, of authority as a thought leader, if you demur from your thought leadership role, that's when you get condescending. That's actually when you start bopping people over the head and clubbing people, trying to put other people in their place or put them down.
And that's really funny. It really does resonate a lot because I think about when I would say that I was acting like that a lot, and that was when I was all caught up in the religion it's all about being, humble and not. Yeah, and it's funny, even within the religion itself, is like they always like I never was able to, even though I wanted to, I was never able. Like I was never. I'm trying to think of what the word would be like for other people to understand, like promoted into like a role where I was in leadership, even though I craved it. And like for years, craved it. I was never put in it. And so, yeah, no, I mean, it just, that really resonates like a lot. And I remember being that way with so many people and I'm like, oh man.
You're here to be a thought leader, and everything in our world starts as an idea. Everything. Democracy started as an idea. Sliced bread started as an idea. We're talking on a computer that was, the apple of Steve Jobs' eye. Everything starts as an idea. Everything in our world. And you are the thought leader, which makes you potentially a leader in our world if you are willing to wear the crown. And that's where your own free will comes in. Is you choose, am I going to step up into my rightful role of authority, and am I going to wear the crown, and am I going to wear it with dignity and with grace and with humility, but nonetheless, am I going to speak the truth? If you don't do it, then who will? And our world, in my opinion, is devoid of good examples of leadership. So that also plays in and factors in where you may say to yourself, I don't want to be like that jerk, and I don't want to come off in that way, or I don't want to be rude or condescending or arrogant. So then you demur from your role and you'll hold yourself back. And that becomes the work to do for yourself. And that's, we do coaching and healing. That's the work we do with our clients, is we coach them literally to play their cards right. And that's something you can look into for yourself. And maybe you have a trusted friend or mentor, or someone who you work with, where you could find out, why am I afraid to speak the truth? Am I afraid to speak the truth? If I am, why? And what am I afraid of might happen? And what am I afraid of about authority? And what are my beliefs about authority? And these are the things to explore and find out for yourself of why you might be holding yourself back from literally playing your cards right.
Yeah, that's so funny. I think I saw you guys tapping around on my Instagram profile before we got on the show. And if you see in my content, that's kind of what I've been doing more recently, is just showing up like as authentically as I can. Just like, you know what? I'm just going to hit record when I have a thought and I'm going to say it because I have all these thoughts. This is what was actually the conversation I had with my wife was that because I'm constantly telling her what I'm thinking. Like I always have these thoughts about everything. And so we'll have these conversations and be like, wow, that was great. And I'm like, man, I should have like other people need, you know, that it's what's
Right.
funny is that's actually how this show came about was when I was having all those conversations in Uber. I'm like, other people need to hear this, you know? And so that was why I started the podcast.
Yes.
But that's how I feel about with what I post on social media as well. I'm like, I want to just like the way that I've described it before is that I always had like something I was trying to accomplish with my social media, right? Like it was like, oh, I'm trying to build this business or I'm trying to promote this thing or whatever it might be. And so I was always kind of doing it in a way that I do believe was still authentic and that like I was able to show up authentically, but it was always for a specific purpose as opposed to just like, hey, this is just a way for me to share myself and to share my thoughts. And so now that's kind of how I'm viewing it as, you know what, this is the way I can share my thoughts. I'm just going to hit record, say what I need to say and post it. And I just started doing that very recently, but it's just, it's exactly what you're saying.
I totally saw you doing that, which is why I was so excited to have this conversation because I felt all those things from you. I was like, oh, I love this guy. Like, I love how you were talking about, and I saw the whole cat thing, you know, it was like, oh my God, you know, that's crazy. So yeah, I totally felt that. I feel that you're doing that for sure. And
Very
even
cool.
in this interview, we've been doing a lot of interviews. And I would say, I mean, just the way you ask the questions, like I heard him say things that, you know, we often talk about the same things, tell the same stories. Like I heard him say things I've never heard before. Like you really pulled some stuff out of him I've never heard. The way you reflect on our answers is absolutely wonderful. I mean, it's just really like, because you have a lot of knowledge that comes through you when you, after you hear us say something, like all this information comes through you and then you share. So I really feel that, you know, as we're having this conversation, you know.
I really appreciate that feedback.
Yeah.
So can we talk a little bit more about like some of the meaning of like the rest of the cards? Like obviously not all of them, but some of them, like if we, so, because obviously, right, for me, you're like, oh, King of Clubs, that's like a thought leader. What are some other cards that someone might have?
We'll use your personality card as an example. The
Okay.
Four of Diamonds is your personality.
Okay.
And again, if you're
all
only
calculated, it's all mathematics. It's all calculated that way.
again,
I
if
saw you
you're
like pull out this sheet and you're like, it means this.
yeah, exactly.
Well, we're looking it up in my book.
Oh yeah. Alexander's book is called Play Your Cards Right, A Sacred Guide to Life on Earth. Alexander Dunlop.
Can't wait to read it.
And you can look up in the back, you can look it up. And it's a simple mathematical calculation to get the cards. So Four of Diamonds is the personality. Now the personality is how you show up, how people may see you. It covers up the king underneath your essence is like underneath. And then this is the personality, kind of like the facade, you know, they play off of each other. They kind of dance together. That's how I see it. So the four is about structure, organization, foundation, which you can see in the pip patterning. And if you're at home, again, listening, if you do have a deck of cards, you can pull out the Four of Diamonds.
And you'll see that it's a box shape.
And you'll see it's a box shape. So there it is right there. Diamonds represent what you value most in your life, anything you can perceive with your five senses, the physicality of life, what truly matters to you. And it's holding the space for what you truly matter, you know, what you truly value, what really matters to you, holding that space for yourself, for others, you know, providing that foundation, that structure.
Yeah. Well, so as a personality, it means you're very organized and you like to organize the things in your life and things in your house. And, you know, you may micromanage other people too. You may want to organize everyone around you, and people will, again, because you could say that it's, as a personality, it covers up the king. People who don't know you well and maybe haven't been interviewed by you on a podcast, when you show up, they'll experience you as someone who's very organized and very practical, and let's put everything in order, people, and let's get a structure going here and build a solid foundation here, and let's be practical about it. That would be how you may show up, and people may first experience you. And the way that it dances together, as Viki was talking about, is that your thought leadership of the king of clubs gets expressed into how can we build something that truly matters here.
Mm.
It's not just an intellectual abstraction. I'm not just doing math, on a chalkboard. Diamonds is practical and physical, and the four is a structure and organization. So all of your thinking goes into how can we do something that has practical value and creates a practical structure that's useful.
Almost like execution.
Yes. Yeah. How do we put these thoughts into some kind of service and some kind of use that has tangible diamonds, tangible value? And how do we organize our thoughts together in a way that creates a better society, for example? Like people born to play the four diamonds, they make good accountants or good police officers, good lawyers, because they want everything to be structured and organized.
Mm.
And we need people like that. We don't just want five of diamonds who are the artists and the out of the box people like my beautiful wife. We want structure. We want to know that you can stop on red light and go on green light and that everybody's going to obey that same structure. As the king of clubs, you're here to think what those structures can be. How can we think better structures for our society?
I'm sure you probably get this reaction from people all the time when you're telling them this stuff, but it's kind of uncanny, I always, this morning I was listening to this podcast where they were talking about like taxes and stuff. And I came up with this idea of like how taxes could work. And I recorded a video. I didn't post it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
But I literally was like, oh, this is the structure of how it could work. And we could do this and it could be like this. And this is this limit and blah, blah, blah. God, that's so funny. I'm also like one of the most organized people I know. I don't lose things. I also I have a spreadsheet for like everything in my life. So it really is so funny how accurate it is. It's kind of crazy.
That's great.
Well, thank you for
That's
reflecting
great.
that back.
Yes.
That is the feedback we get. And to go all the way back to the beginning of how I got into this, I like this story. It's a funny one. I like sharing it whenever I have an opportunity. When I was still skeptical and still testing this out for myself of, is this actually accurate? I know it's accurate for me. 9 of hearts. Wow, that's so accurate. Is this actually really accurate? And I would talk to my friends about it and they'd be like, yeah, that's accurate. I'm like, I don't know if they're just telling me it is because they're my friend or if it really is accurate. So after going through the divorce, which I alluded to, I'm single in New York. And I started, going out to my local bar. I have my couple local bars that I like to go to. And I'd be sitting at the bar and I'm by myself anyway. And I have a couple drinks. And it's a crowded New York City bar. And I work up the courage and I was just kind of like, hey, and, guy or girl, didn't matter. I'd be like, there's this thing with playing cards and I'm curious. I'm just wondering, what's your birthday? And 9 times out of 10, they'd play along and they'd be like, yeah, July 10th. Why? And be like, do my calculation in my head, or maybe I have my cheat sheet there. And I'm like, oh, well, that means your birth card is this and this, and it means this and this and this about you. And they'd be like, whoa, that's uncanny. And I would do this over and over and over again in the bar. And, I had so many reactions where they're like, whoa, that's really accurate. Hey, Bob, you got to get over here. There's this guy over here doing this thing with cards. You got to get over here. Do it for him. Do it for him too. And I had all these reactions where like, wow, this is really accurate for people. And they're not BSing me. I mean, these are New Yorkers who will tell you to your face that you're full of shit.
Yeah.
And I'm in a bar with strangers and over and over and over again, it was accurate. I'm like, wow, okay. I don't understand how it's accurate. I can't explain why it's based on a birthday and these numbers. So it boggles my mind. It still boggles my mind of how it works exactly, but it works and it's accurate.
Yeah.
That's what really launched me and like, okay, I can trust this and I'm going to build a business based on this.
Yeah, that's so interesting. It's so interesting. I feel like we could talk for like 3 more hours.
We didn't even get into relationship patterns in the cards.
Oh my
my
gosh.
favorite topic.
Okay, well, no, let's do it.
Your
Let's do
wife's
it. I want to
favorite
talk about
topic,
it.
too, when she hears about it.
No, I want to talk about it too. So relationships I want to hear about. I'm curious also, does this tie at all into like business and making money
Absolutely.
and all of that?
All of that. My suggestion is let's come back and do another show on relationships.
Okay.
Does that
Yeah.
work for
I'm
you?
totally down for that.
We're,
Totally
we're going
down.
to need to, it's fun talking to you. We could talk for a lot longer, but we will need to get off the call here in a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. No, it's good. Let's go ahead and wrap up. So for anybody that's listening that wants to connect with you guys, obviously you mentioned the book. Is it available on Amazon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And
And how?
bookshop.org. If you don't want to buy it on Amazon, you can buy it from the independent retailer bookshop.org.
Okay, gotcha. And if anyone wants to connect with you guys outside of the book, just because they want to, learn from you or work with you or something like that, how can they do
So
so?
TikTok, YouTube, Instagram at the Source Cards, and our website is thesourcecards.com.
Perfectly perfect. Okay, great. Is there anything you guys want to share before we wrap up?
If you go to our website, thesourcecards.com, we've created a free widget lookup where you can look up your cards, put in your birthday, and get a simple starting reading to get started. Find out your birth card and your personality card, just like we did for you on the show. Your listeners can put in their birthday on our website, find out their birth card and personality card.
Amazing. I love it. All right. Alexander, Vicky, I really appreciate you guys, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. This has
It's
been
fun to be here.
great. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review or share it with someone who'd appreciate it. For everything I have to offer, visit howtobeaperson.co.